What's a famous cover song that not many people know is a cover? You Really Got Me. Van Halen borrowed this gem from the Kinks. Could you imagine this? While the cover brought new life to Kinks fandom, it also weighed down their egos. When the Kinks toured behind low budget in 1979, Van Halen's version was the original for kids who were hearing the song for the first time, and the Kinks had to endure kudos on their cover. Some kid came up to me after one of the gigs and said, "I like your cover of Van Halen's You Really Got Me." Dave Davis said, "You have to smile sometimes." Here's a weird one. While My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles, written by George Harrison, it was one of the two songs he was allowed on the White Album. Notably, George asked Eric Clapton to play the guitar for him, leaving him to sing. Otherwise, when performed, George would have to play guitar. Is this now a cover of his own song? I can't believe it. Seasons in the Sun is one of the first songs I memorized by heart as a kid. It's a great, sad song, and Ne Me Quitte Pas by Jacques Brel is also one of my favorites that I can sing. But I never knew Homeboy originally sang Seasons in the Sun. This is a great discovery. Thanks for the link. I was surprised most people thought Blue Velvet was an original Lana Del Rey song, made famous by Bobby Vinton, and a few years later Tony Bennett had a hit with it. Dennis by Blondie, originally Denise by Randy and the Rainbows. Got My Mind Set on You by George Harrison is one of 3 US #1 hits he had, but originally by James Ray back in 1962. Before the rock era, none of the major vocalists wrote their own songs. Singers sang, bandleaders lead bands, and songwriters wrote songs. The vocalists and bandleaders arranged pre-existing songs to fit the singer. Every time a singer presented song, it was a new song, even if someone else had done it before. Everything Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis, and Dean Martin did was technically a cover. This system worked fine. Nothing wrong with doing covers. I got a second one. Hatsune Miku, I Have on Polka, a cover of Oitama. I Have on Polka, which is a cover of a Finnish folk song from 1928 by Aino Katunen. Also, I am annoyed at the fact that people say it's actually Leva's Polka because it's what it reads. To that I have to say, who the fuck is Leva? And no, it's an uppercase I, not a lowercase l. Wagon Wheel started life as an unfinished Bob Dylan song called Rock Me Mama, written in the early 70s around the same time as Knockin' on Heaven's Door and circulated around on old bootlegs. It consisted solely of the chorus and some mumbled verses. Old Crow Medicine Show discovered it and received Dylan's blessing to finish it. Hurt, Johnny Cash, https://b/8ohikvstrategy original, Trent Reznor, then, https://b/pbhc9p7z42. Trent on Cash's cover. When Reznor was asked if Cash could cover his song, Reznor said he was flattered but worried that the idea sounded a bit gimmicky. He became a fan of Cash's version. However, once he saw the music video, I popped the video in, and wow, tears welling, silence, goosebumps. Wow, I felt like I just lost my girlfriend, because that song isn't mine anymore. It really made me think about how powerful music is as a medium and art form. I wrote some words and music in my bedroom as a way of staying sane, about a bleak and desperate place I was in, totally isolated and alone. Somehow, that winds up reinterpreted by a music legend from a radically different era, genre, and still retains sincerity and meaning. Different, but every bit as pure. Source: https://n.m.wiki.hurt_9_inch_nails_song. Lady Marmalade as recorded by Christina Aguilera, by A. Pink and Lil Kim in 2001 for the Moulin Rouge soundtrack as a cover. Most people know this. What most people don't know is that the 1974 version by La Belle is also a cover. The original was recorded earlier that same year by a group of session musicians called the 11th Hour. How Dog Elvis acted like it, and pretty much every other song he sang was his, but it was Big Mama Thornton. He stole a lot and was known for claiming writing and royalty rights in exchange for him singing a song and making it big. Dolly Parton actually refused to let him sing I Will Always Love You for this reason, and Whitney did a way better job with it, without laying claim to it, than he ever would have. Hurt, Johnny Cash. Trent Reznor remembers the first time he saw the video for Johnny Cash's cover of his 1994 song Hurt. Tears started welling up. He said, "I realized it wasn't really my song anymore, it just gave me goosebumps up and down my spine. It's an unbelievably powerful piece of work." After he passed away, I remember feeling saddened, but being honored to have framed the end of his life in something that is very tasteful. Source: Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. It was written by his wife June Carter Cash and Merle Kilgore and performed by June's sister Anita, but didn't get popular until Johnny recorded his own version of it. Also, seeing a lot of people post Hurt was an in-song like is this something people don't know? ? I must be even older than I thought. My two favorites are Gangsta's Paradise is almost a one-for-one rap cover of Stevie Wonder's Pastime Paradise, and Blinded by the Light was originally written by Bruce Springsteen. The Manfred Mann's Earth Band version got the word deuce messed up. Deuce makes sense. It was the nickname for an old Ford named a Deuce Coupe, so now everyone is wondering how the hell you rev up a douche. Van Halen and Metallica both put out a lot of covers early on as they were building their fame. Some people might not know that won't get fooled again. Ice Cream Man, Pretty Woman, You Really Got Me, and Dancing in the Street by Van Halen are all covers. Likewise Bread Fan, Whiskey in the Jar, Tuesday's Gone, Stone Cold Crazy, and Turn the Page by Metallica are all covers. This isn't super famous, but my favorite artist is named Cabatown and he has a song called Self-Control which I immediately fell in love with my first time hearing it, and I showed to several people while not knowing it was actually a Frank Ocean song. Granted, Cabatown's version is extremely different musically, but it uses all the lyrics from Frank Ocean's original song. Don't You Worry About a Thing is by Stevie Wonder, not Tori Kelly. Also Cancer is by My Chemical Romance, not 21 Pilots. Edit. There's also a funny triple one because All By Myself was originally written by Rachmaninoff, but Tarek Carmen used the chord progression. Now people think Celine Dion wrote it, even though she covered it decades later. Cups by Anna Kendrick is based largely on When I'm Gone, recorded by the Carter family in 1931. Just a Gigolo, I Ain't Got Nobody by David Lee Roth is a cover of the same medley by Louis Prima. Both songs were even older than that, and Johnny Cash's Folsom Prison Blues is, well, more of a rip-off than a cover of Crescent City Blues by Gordon Jenkins. He was sued over it and settled. Wagon Wheel was a partial cover that was then covered. The chorus was from an old Bob Dylan bootleg and he just mumbles through the verses since he hadn't written anything yet. Old Crow Medicine Show credited him as one of the songwriters. Darius Rucker's version brought it back into the mainstream for a while. Am I Evil? Metallica. It was originally written by Diamond Head, who were one of their biggest heroes and influences. Of course Metallica went on to do the Garage Days EP and all the other covers they've done over the years. The one thing I always admired about Metallica doing covers is the way they put their own spin on it. They had so much more attitude compared to the original versions. When I was in college, I went to see my friend's band play at a bar, and a girl with an acoustic guitar opened. She said she was going to play one of her favorite John Mayer songs, and then started singing Free Fallin'. I'm sure most people here know it's a Tom Petty song, but at least one person out there does not know this, and it upsets me. I have a few more I forgot about. Head On by the Pixies is a Jesus and Mary Chain cover. Brand New Cadillac by The Clash is a Vince Taylor cover. And Partial Score, since it's not exactly a cover, but Springsteen wrote Hungry Heart intending it to be performed by the Ramones. Cocaine and After Midnight, made famous by Eric Clapton, were originally written by J.J. Cale. The two collaborated much later on a solid album together, Road to Escondido, so I guess Cale forgave him for the earlier butchering. When asked in an interview whose covers of his songs Cale enjoyed, many have borrowed from Cale. Think Call Me the Breeze, etc., Clapton's name didn't even come up. Quiet Riot's take on Come On Feel the Noise is a cover of the Slade song. It's pretty obvious, but a lot of people I talked to had no idea, because Quiet Riot's version sounds more iconic. Fun fact, the guys in Quiet Riot originally never wanted to cover the song, and when they did, Slade, for one reason or another, weren't very happy with them. I Think We're Alone Now is famously known to be sung by Tiffany, while it was a cover of the original by Tommy James and the Shondells. Same goes for another song, Angel of the Morning, thought to be made by Juice Newton but was just a cover of Chip Taylor's original version. A Perfect Circle have done quite a lot of cover songs in their time, like that time they covered the Beatles song, Imagine All the People. It is a rather depressed and cynical remake of a song that originally was not these things. So I don't really see them as competitors because they originate from a very different sentiment. A fuck ton of covers from the 60s and 70s were written by Carole King and popularized by someone else. Includes the Beatles, Aretha Franklin, the Shirelles, the Byrds, and James Taylor. Not really a cover, but Kenny Loggins co-wrote What a Fool Believes. He has his own version that takes third behind the Doobie Brothers version and the Outside from the Redwoods version in that order. Oh, I know so many of these. I'll start with a classic cover. Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor was written by Prince and originally recorded by one of his bands. What's Love Got to Do with It by Tina Turner was originally demoed by a group called Bucks Fizz. Tina hated the version she was presented with and almost said no until the label told her it will be a big hit, even though it was an immensely popular Ike and Tina Turner song. Proud Mary was originally by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Owaga Chuka Owaga Chuka Owaga 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 Chuka, Hooked on a Feeling, covered by Blue Swede, was made popular, again, in Guardians of the Galaxy, 6 months before Blue Swede's release. This song was released by B.J. Thomas, from the Loaven Spoonfuls. The famous intro, quoted above, was not part of the original song. It was added by Blue Swede. Donny Hathaway masterfully covered a song for you, and most do not have any idea that it is a song written and performed by Leon Russell. As much as I love Donny's version, the original is even better, as Leon tells the story with rough edges and 100% conviction. Both are brilliant, but all credit is due to Russell for writing the timeless classic, singing the song, and playing the piano and background horns. Not easy. Without You, Can't Live, If Living Is Without You, popularized by Harry Nilsson and Mariah Carey amongst others. It was originally written by a Welsh band called Badfinger, who also wrote Baby Blue, which is on the closing credits of the finale of Breaking Bad. The two guys who wrote it, Pete Ham and Tom Evans, both ended up committing suicide, in part due to disputes over the royalties from Without You. Very sad. There is a Canadian band called Great Big Sea that does an acoustic folk rock version of Run Run Away. Apparently just about every Canadian under the age of 35 or so is blissfully unaware of the original, and far superior original by Slade. The GBS version is missing those buzz guitar chords and that swirling effect put on the drum track in the Slade version, which make the song so iconic in my mind. 2000 Man. The Kiss version is a vast improvement on the Rolling Stones original. The Stones version sounds disjointed to me, like they grafted two completely different unfinished songs together to try to make a complete song out of it. The Kiss version is a more cohesive, finished and polished song. When I was growing up, my parents were really into a band called Three Dog Night. They're amazing emo. But I've learned fairly recently that very little, if anything, in their catalog is their own music. They are most famous, I think, for their take on a song called Joy to the World. It's the one that starts with Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Kind of cheating, but it always cracks me up when I remember that Dusty Springfield's I Only Want to Be With You, https://b/osvaf4tzfc, was recorded in 1964 and has the exact same music as this 1980s Mexican pop hit by Luis Miguel, https://b/7peg1w. Although the lyrics are totally different. In Dusty's version she's trying to stay with her guy, and in Luis' version he's telling his girlfriend to get out because she doesn't appreciate him. When I was growing up, my parents were really into a band called Three Dog Night. They're amazing emo, but I've learned fairly recently that very little, if anything, in their catalog is their own music. They are most famous, I think, for their take on a song called Joy to the World. It's the one that starts with Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Unchained Melody. Everyone thinks of the Righteous Brothers when they hear it, and when the movie Ghost was released in 1990, their version became popular again all over the world, but it was originally written in 1955 by Alex North and Henry Zarrett. In 1955, 3 versions of the song, by Leigh Baxter, Al Hibbler, and Roy Hamilton, charted in the Billboard Top 10 in the United States, and 4 versions, by Al Hibbler, Leigh Baxter, Jimmy Young, and Liberace, appeared in the top 20 in the United Kingdom simultaneously, a record for any song. The song continued to chart in the 21st century, and it was the only song to reach #1 with 4 different recordings in the UK until it was joined by Band Aid 30's Do They Know It's Christmas, in 2014, Wikipedia. I think most people know it's S&G, but yes, undoubtedly there will be some who don't know. I actually like both versions equally. They're different enough, but I like both styles so much, I don't really have a favorite, or both are my favorites. If you like the style of the Disturbed version, check out Queen's Reach's cover of Scarborough Fair, Dirk, recorded in 1986, but I think first published around 1990–1991, and I know Scarborough Fair is a traditional song, but S&G were definitely the ones who did the first memorable recorded version. This probably doesn't count, as it was just my dad reacting this way, but I was talking about someone recently covering Leaving on a Jet Plane, and he was saying that he knew the song but couldn't remember who sang it. Looked it up and told him John Denver. He said no, Denver was a cover. I remember the original was a woman singing. Eventually found out that Peter, Paul and Mary did a cover of it, and that's who he was thinking of, but he insisted for like 5–10 minutes after that Denver's was the cover. Had to look up release years to convince him. I hear the Creedence Clearwater Revival version of I Heard It Through the Grapevine far more often than I hear the original by Marvin Gaye, Ed. Actually, The Miracles, Gladys Knight and the Pips were first recorded and first officially released, respectively, though I do most commonly listen to rock stations. Edit, I could have sworn the original version was Marvin Gaye's, but apparently the Miracles recorded it first, but the Gladys Knight and the Pips version was published first, so I included both for different interpretations of the word original. Marvin Gaye's was recorded second, and released third. One of my personal favorites for this kind of question is Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks, which was later covered by Westlife, but was originally a song Quelle l'amour bon by Jacques Brel. 2 out of 3 versions are amazing. I don't care much for Westlife's version, but my fiancé thought it was the original at some point and thinks it's the better version.